sour, like crunchy smell.
Sour crunchy smell. That sounds like an Asian snack.
Sour crunchy.
Okay.
No.
So
This turns into Sasquatch porn real fast.
Side note, there were like 7 that's what she said jokes that I bypassed.
We get boob sweat though.
Boob sweat. There you go. Like it's in that region. So you got a little titty sweat going on there, Lisa? If you are looking for a dead serious podcast with dry, humorless people, I'm afraid you are in the wrong place. This is Midnight Hollow, and we will dive into some weird, creepy, and downright strange stories with a twist of humor, bad puns, and a whole lot of laughs. So sit back and enjoy the podcast. Just a quick note from the producer, we did have some trouble with the microphone and also the stand. It was kind of dipping on her, so every time we tried to adjust it, it created some noise or turbulence in it. So you will hear it once in a while, and I do apologize, but it will not happen again. So enjoy the episode, and happy Halloween. And we're back here with Midnight Hollow. This is going to be our Halloween episode, so it's like super special and stuff. And we decided what we're going to do is kind of talk about our personal experiences. First time you kissed a girl?
And I liked it.
Oh, now that's the next song that we're all going to be singing.
Yep.
No, personal experiences in regards to creepy, ghosty things. Ghosty things? Sure, why not?
Spoopy. I personally like spoopy.
Spoopy? Okay, spoopy things. Okay.
Also, our creepy handprint is still there.
Yep,
so
and I got
might
it
as
up on our
well.
last episode.
I was going to say, so...
I just said I got it up on our last episode, and Lisa did not pick up on it. I'm disappointed in you, Lisa. Disappointed in you.
I'm trying to make out the handprint.
So today, Jay will talk about his experience, and we'll call it the haunted barn. Nikki will talk about hers and call it the Playroom Poltergeist, though we did go through a couple versions of maybe clickbait. What was it? MILF in the Playroom. Click now to find out what happens.
Yeah.
You'll never guess what happens.
Bobby Brown slept with a ghost.
And then Lisa will talk about her experiences with demons in the walls, even though I don't think you really liked that title. You also said Haunted by Demons.
Yeah, I like that one better. I also came up with another one, but I
Forgot it?
don't know. That was like 6 hours ago.
We're also going to talk about a few things. Nikki found us an article that all of you will love to hear. That their creepy clowns are back, or they're...
Yeah, thanks, Nikki.
Yeah.
I didn't make them come back. They just came back. It's not my fault.
During this episode, I'm sure we're going to have a few issues with Lisa's stand because it keeps falling on her.
She's got a little bit of an erectile dysfunction.
Yes.
Maybe that's my old one. Remember mine always used to do that?
You used to strangle the shit out of it, too.
I used to choke the stand.
Just the tip.
Just the tip.
And I'm right by the door, and I'm paranoid that someone's going to walk in here and hit me.
See us?
No.
I can't be associated with you
Oh,
people.
my God.
They only know me by voice.
That's true.
Well, I mean, there's nothing really, like, hidden. Also, social accounts and...
True. And mine is
Stuff.
kind of just a cartoon face, so there you go. That's all you got is cartoon face. So I guess I'll start with my personal experience, and then those two can rock, scissors, papers and see who goes next.
I don't think that's the order of that.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah, that made me feel very uncomfortable for
I'm
some
sorry.
reason.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I
don't.
apologize.
Like
Don't-
jelly and peanut butter.
What did I say?
Don't do that ever again.
You did the rock, scissors, paper.
What is it?
Rock, paper, scissors.
Question
No,
for
it's,
you.
it's rock, scissors,
I
paper.
have a serious question for you. Cereal first or milk first
When
in
you
the bowl?
pour?
Yes.
Oh,
No.
Put the cereal in first.
Okay.
that's what
Thank
everyone-
God.
Why the heck would you put... Then the cereal floats on top. And you got to, like, push it down.
It's a real thing. Because some people don't get the correct milk to cereal ratio.
Well, that's why they're doing it wrong.
It's like the whole toilet paper roll. Some people like
Oh,
it going
God,
over the
we're
top. Other
gonna
people like
start.
going on the bottom and freezing. Okay. The haunted barn. So let me set the stage for you here. It was...
the stage.
I'm not going to tell you
The
the year
scene.
because it's embarrassing the year. But I was around 12. I had first hair on ball.
Was I born?
What's that?
I said, was I born yet?
No.
Was I born yet?
No. And I had first hair on ball, so, I was past the whole I'm just going to play with cars and Legos type of thing. And we ventured into something called laser tag.
Yes.
Okay, so you know what laser tag.
Yeah, I remember
back in the
you
day,
used
that
to
was the
buy
shit.
the kits that you could do it at your house.
Yep.
Yeah.
We got these like special vests where you have the things on the shoulders, on the sides, on your buttocks, wherever. And it was great. It was a 4-pack. It was kind of expensive. We pooled all our money together. And the only reason I'm telling you this is because the reason we were around the barn at the time was because there was lots of fields. I mean, I live in Wheatfield. Hello. To his left, it was like 5 acres to the next house. And then to his right, it was about 2 acres. But in between there was a barn, an old barn that sat there that the farmer, the local farmer.
Sounds oddly like Huggins' story of how he lost his virginity to that alien. This is exactly how that story starts. Do you remember?
In a wheat field?
I don't want to remember because that's embarrassing.
Outside of the barn, but you know that's exactly
yes,
how
I know,
that
but I don't want to remember.
Is this where this is going? Are you secretly him?
You are him. That's why you rep it so much on the show. Is you're just,
why
like,
are you
promoting
turning
your
bright
own.
red, Jim?
No, because my teeth are nowhere near that big. So
That's your first issue with that.
kind of, yeah. And anyways, we got the laser tag and we're playing around with it. And then we wanted to test it out, how far it would work. And is it more like a Bluetooth where you're anywhere near it and you press, all these different things we were testing out. So we went to the barn and there's this big piece of machinery sitting in the middle of it. And the barn itself has a big, huge slab of cement, which is unusual for a barn. Usually they don't have that. But this barn is sitting on a huge slab of cement. And I'm mentioning that for a reason.
Okay.
Stop laughing. And so we were testing stuff out, and then we came out the front of the barn, and
What were you testing?
testing, like I was saying, like if trigger thing was hidden, would it still go off? You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Yeah, so we were testing those kind of things. Went out, and we're talking about something, and all of a sudden, in the barn, we hear, it's hard to describe. It's like, oh, like someone was falling. And we were both like waiting for like a thud or something.
Male voice or female voice?
Male voice, definitely a male voice. We both like looked at each other like, what? So we went back in. Now the slab was the guy who keeps everything in there was very clean. Everything was always very clean in there. Bales of hay were perfect, whatever. And there was just like hay halfway through one side of the barn. It wasn't there before. There's no way it was there before because we would have had to step through it. We didn't step through it. So at some point, by the time we left, 10, 15 seconds later, we heard it, walked back in, there was hay all over the place.
Hey.
Hey!
Hey.
So that was the first part of it. And so we're like, okay, we just kind of shrugged it off. Then there's a forest that's actually across all these wheat fields. It was probably a couple months later. We were heading back from the forest. It was late around this time. It was just like Halloween-y time.
Oh, you said
Halloween.
forest? I thought you said force for a second. I'm
Nope,
like, what is this,
forest.
Star Wars?
The force is with you.
The forest was with me because there's lots of wood.
No.
Okay.
No.
So
This
we're,
turns into Sasquatch porn real fast.
so we're walking back, and my best friend was Sean at the time, and he goes, "Hey, Jim, there's a light on in the barn." I'm like, "Yeah, whatever." And I look up, and there's no light. I'm like, "No, there's not." And he goes, "Oh, it just turned off." And I'm like, "Well, maybe it's old man." I'm not going to mention names because they're local.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "I'll probably walk maybe another minute because it's about 5 minutes to get there. Another minute." And I saw it. I'm like, dude, there is a light in there. So we thought maybe he was pulling up his truck and he was doing stuff. And it's like, whatever. And we keep going. It shuts off and we keep going and it turns back on. And I'm like, what is he doing? I'm like, I don't know. But there's no way it could be anything from the road because it's easily like an acre and a half away from the road. So reflections wouldn't be there or anything like that. So finally we get fairly close and it comes on again. And because there's slats in the barn, and there's, it's not perfect, you can kind of see through it, and that's where we're seeing the light. And we kind of like snuck up to it. By the time we got there, of course, the light turned off. So we're looking, and he went around, and there's no one there. There wasn't even, the equipment was gone by then. So we were like, what the hell? So we walked back a minute or so and turned around and like waited to see if a light would come on again, and it didn't. So we have no idea what that is. The reason why I was talking about something that I didn't realize, so years later, there was obviously the slab of cement. I'm just wondering if there was a hidden room underneath or something of that nature that would kind of explain some stuff. Like someone fell and then they just went down into this trap door or something, or the light, someone was there, but then they went down into some creepy dude living underneath the barn.
Oh, that was creepy.
I didn't realize that till like years later. I'm like, I wonder.
I would like to go back in there and take a
I
look.
was wondering if you had the opportunity to go back in there. Do you know the people who owned it?
Yes, but they sold all that land off to someone else, and that barn is now filled with like cars and stuff. Like it's more of a like storage area that they use. So I don't think I'd be able to get in there anymore. So that was the second thing. The third thing was we were playing Ghost in the Graveyard, and this was only a couple days afterwards.
I forgot how to play that, but I used to play that all the time.
Oh, I love Ghost in the Graveyard. It's one of my favorite. And because there's so much land and all these trees and everything else, is in the barn and other things too, you can hundreds of places to hide. Me and my best friend, we ran over to a tree. It's a pretty big tree. We were going to climb the tree. So I started climbing the tree. I get up to a nice sturdy branch, and I sit there. I go, okay, Sean, get up here. And in my ear, someone says, who's Sean?
Oh.
Ooh.
Well, that's creepy.
And I looked down, and he wasn't nowhere to be found. And I thought maybe he fell. I was like freaking out. I'm like, whoa, whoa. So I jumped down, and he was nowhere. And at that point, I didn't care if I got caught. I went out there, and I looked for Sean. And I go, you didn't climb the tree? He goes, no. I decided it would be stupid for both of us to be up there. So I went over to the bush, and I'm like, you did? Because someone just told me, asked me, who the hell is Sean or who is Sean?
Yeah.
In my ear. And he's like, yeah, right. But it was close to the barn. And that's what he pointed out. He goes, shit, that's close to the barn.
Yeah.
Do you think he was pranking you, or are you sure he was in the bush?
It's wide open areas. Like there's a tree, and then there's the driveway, and then there was like a half an acre, and then his house in the bush. So it would be difficult for him to do something and then hide something, because I looked straight down and there was no one there.
Okay. Just side note, there were like 7 "that's what she said" jokes that I bypassed, and I want you to know that.
We're trying so hard here, you guys.
Come on, you can lay them out. I want to hear I want to hear them.
You want to hear what she said?
Yeah. So the final and most dramatic occurrence was the following summer. We found an old, dusty, humongous tent. It looked like an old army tent from his dad, and we decided we were going to camp out in that field. So we went out in the field, got the tent all set up, and at that time we were playing Dungeons and Dragons. And don't judge me. And we had like a lantern and a couple flashlights, and we were doing stuff. He had a book and talking to me what he wanted in the dungeon or whatever. So it was getting night, and then we went inside and we grabbed a snack and got ready. And my sister was watching us because his parents were away, and we went back out to the tent and we're sitting there doing stuff. And I was on my belly facing the one end of the tent with the flashlight, and he was telling me something, and I picked the flashlight up, and on the outside of the tent, a hand hit the tent and slid down. Now,
Like Titanic style?
kind of, yeah. Actually, it's similar to that, but
But
it
a
didn't
lot
like leave
less-
any marks.
a
on it. It
A
was
lot
Sexy.
less sexy.
just, a hell of a lot less sexy. Before that, too, there was like weird footstep noises, and we thought it was just my sister throwing stuff out there to try and scare us. So we're like, whatever. Never like putting the two together. That happened because he turned around and looked. He goes, what? And I'm like, I was just frozen. I'm like, I don't know. And I look and I go, oh, I bet you it's my sister. We jump up, run around the tent. Obviously it's wide open, no one there. There's no way someone could have ran away or did anything else. So we're sitting there like staring at the tent to see if there was fingerprints or anything. There was nothing there. And we ran inside and we're like, hey, were you outside? They're like, no. It was both my sisters at that point. And they're like, no. Like, oh, something happened. And they're like, oh, you're just trying to scare us. And I'm like, no, something happened. And my one sister's like, I think they're serious. So they went out there with like a couple lanterns and we're just seeing if we could find anything, and there wasn't anything. So
I love that you just had lanterns available.
yeah,
Because this was 1929.
yeah, exactly. They're
There's
battery
just some
operated.
lanterns.
It wasn't like oil and tinder and it's
Tinder.
battery.
Tinder.
Swipe left. So yeah, that was nothing really happened after that. We didn't really go around the barn all that much, anyways. Afterwards, that was my spookiest. Besides the fact that we broke into a church in Lockport and went upstairs and found demonic books and symbols all over the place.
Ooh.
That's just probably some moron who was up there trying to conjure the devil.
At a church.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my story. That's the haunted barn.
Dun, dun, dun.
damn it, and I don't have my...
Oh, I know. This is what you had
We
that
practiced
for, guys.
this, Jim.
Oh, Jim,
It's
no,
the volume
Jim. I guess that's pretty good.
Anticlimactic. Can you add this in post?
I might, though. This one's probably better after that.
Wait, can you do it?
It's not working. It's probably going to start sounding like 5 minutes from
Yeah,
now.
like, did someone go in the bathroom in here somewhere? Because it was a toilet flush.
That's not what that is.
I know, because I'm hitting toilet flush. It's not flushing.
No.
I'm glad that's not a real
You got
toilet.
happen to
yourself
you
a
normally?
clogged toilet.
I do. So this is what it was supposed to be.
That one's pretty okay.
All right.
Sounds like the end of a Kiss show.
Who wants to do scissors, paper, rock?
Are you asking us to scissor?
Probably not, because I'd probably get kicked in the balls if I really did.
You say that like you wouldn't like it.
No, my balls are really sensitive.
Oh,
You got to be real gentle with them.
I didn't need to know that part.
I'm just saying.
Tic-tac nipples and your
And
sensitive balls.
Sensitive balls.
Your swamp squatch.
Swamp squash balls.
Swamp ass.
Swamp ass. Why don't we just go... I don't know. Isn't there a word for that?
Round robin?
Yes. That is exactly what I was thinking.
All right, Lisa, you're up.
That'd be me. Okay.
Demons in the wall. Or demons
In the hall?
in the hall.
In the wall. In the wall.
Boys
and
in the
you'll know why.
Hall.
I have to...
Kids in the hood.
Kids in the hood?
Which I have to preface this by saying that I grew up in a very, very religious house. So I do believe in demons and angels and all of that. Just more often than not because my parents always used to preach it. And I'm not as religious as I was then, but I grew up in a very, very strict upbringing. Low-key cult, you might say.
Is it an actual cult?
No, it wasn't like Heaven's Gate or anything, but
okay.
it was low key. Is probably a discussion for another time.
Okay.
It's not Blue Oyster, is it?
No, it's not.
Can I tell you, I am obsessed with cults. So
I am too, for obvious reasons. Although I did listen to the Heaven's Gate podcast and got PTSD from it a little bit. I had to stop after episode 2 because it became a little too real. No,
Yikes.
no drinking poison
Oh, okay.
and summoning.
Well, obviously, you're kind of sitting here.
Yeah, and no meteors crashing to Earth, taking me to heaven or anything.
Not yet, anyways.
No, not yet. But I was probably about 5 or 6 years old. I was pretty young. Young enough to not really understand what was going on, but old enough to have some sort of memory of the situation. And I was very, very, very sick. I think I had the flu, and I had a very high fever. And it was in the middle of the night, and I was sleeping. And it's almost, I felt like I was lucid dreaming, at least from all the descriptions I read on people who have experienced lucid dreams. It's kind of like you're awake, but you're paralyzed.
Oh.
And your
No,
sleep.
what is that
so
called?
like
Sleep
paralysis.
maybe.
Which I would love to do an episode.
To this day, I can't remember if I was actually dreaming or if I was seeing this or if it was all the cold medicine and my fever clouding my memory. But
Or maybe both.
maybe. But I was laying in my bed, and my bed was pushed up against a wall, which was it was lined in cedar. So if you think of these, I would say like 8-inch cedar panels lined up against my wall. My bed was right next to it, and all of a sudden, my room filled up with like smoke and this red gloomy light, and these heads started poking out of my wall.
God.
Yeah, it was creepy as hell. And I don't remember exactly what they said. All I remember is that it was just vile, nasty, insulting, horrifying things. They started screaming at me like I'm
They were audible, too.
Yeah, they were audible, like really deep, like what you would hear in a haunted house, like this deep disgusting, gurgly voice just yelling out these vile things at me.
This sounds like, is it The Conjuring? No.
Maybe.
What's that one?
I'm not a big horror buff.
Okay, well, I gotta get up and fucking walk out right now. There's actually, it's like, I think the movies are about sleep paralysis, and they're horror movies.
Hold on, I'll do it for you, Nikki.
Okay, you're Googling. I'll continue.
Go on.
Because they were all different faces. I remember they all looked different. Like some were bigger, some were smaller.
Love a good
I just
big
I
head.
replicated one right there.
Yeah.
Probably one ahead was me saying poopy dick
Probably.
jokes.
With,
Lisa,
like all
that's what she said.
they were like all warty and gross and red. And closest thing I can compare it to would be Darth Maul in Star Wars.
Oh, okay.
Oh my god, this sounds just like this fucking movie.
Does
really,
it?
though. Yes. And once I find it, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you, like, the baddie in there, and you can tell me if it looks like what you're describing, because this is really fucking freaking me out.
Okay. I did not see The Conjuring either, so.
It's the one, it is about what, like, how he has, like, he astral projects himself. The kid astral projects himself, and the dad has to go in. The dad's the fucking guy from Arrested Development.
The
Joe.
old guy?
Job.
Oh, the guy who was married to Amy Poehler.
Yes.
I have no idea.
Yes. You're Will Arnett.
Yes. So this probably all happened over the span of 5 minutes. Sorry, my mic is sinking really bad, and I keep having to adjust.
Okay,
to
keep
it
going.
Not working. Anyway, and I remember convulsing and just trying to like wake up, but I couldn't wake myself up, and I must have been screaming because my parents, both of them, ran upstairs into my room, and my mother just started shaking me, and she started screaming, and she said this prayer like, "Get out in the name of Jesus," whatever.
So without them really knowing, or you telling them anything, they had that idea that was happening.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. They knew
Now that's
they knew
creepy.
it was something wrong with me because I was not snapping out of this paralysis, this state that I was in. And once my mother did that, I heard her and I woke up. And she just rushed over to me. She's like, you're okay, it's okay. And apparently I was drenched in sweat. And she got a cold washcloth and put it over my head. And that was one of the most terrifying moments I've ever had in my life.
Now, what are the chances that they walked in and saw what you saw, and that's why they did that? And then they didn't want to tell you that. Like, they didn't want to glorify it, you know what I mean? Like, they didn't want to give you ideas that actually really happened. So I'm just curious why she automatically started doing prayers and stuff. I think she walked in and saw it.
Maybe.
And was like, whoa. And then she started spouting out some
I
Jesus
feel like
stuff.
she would have told me, but that's a good point. I'm going to go up and I'm going to go home and ask her. Holy shit. Wait, let me see.
Yeah. Okay, so the movie's Insidious.
Insidious.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I think there's like 3 now. But
Okay.
there's like a red demon that just like pops up out of nowhere in that
I
fucking
have
movie.
seen this guy. And
Yeah.
Oh my God, they did a comparison to Darth Maul. Look at this. It does look really
Mhm.
similar.
Look,
That is similar to what I saw.
that's so
Oh my
creepy.
God, Nikki, you were dead on that. You were dead on that.
But it's like
I don't remember.
it sounds so similar with like the steam and the lighting and the like astral projection to the movie.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, that's so weird.
Yeah, it was really weird. So I forgot to tie together that the paneling, the cedar paneling in my room is important because there was like a head sticking out of each panel. There probably was like 3 or 4 different ones. Some were bigger, some were smaller. I know that's what she said.
In the wood.
The head.
In the wood.
In the
head of the
wood.
wood.
The heads are sticking out of
Very
the wood.
redundant, and I like it.
Yeah, and then they disappeared, and like probably 2 years later, my dad completely dry rolled over that and was like, "Nope, we're getting rid of this. That's good. She's suffered enough."
Cedar's good for spiders, though. Spiders hate cedar.
Really?
It is, yes.
Why?
The smell.
Oh.
That was my room in my parents' house, and they left it in the closet for me when I was growing up so that there wouldn't be any moths in my clothes.
Moths and spiders, they don't like that. The spiders will find new places to go. Like, they're like, oh, put cedar down in the basement, get rid of the spiders. No, they'll go up. In my basement, I have a spider spray, and I have a line down the middle of my basement that I keep spraying. And the spiders stay on one side, and me doing laundry stay
like
on the other
Full House
side.
Episode.
Yeah.
They tape the room in half.
Exactly, except with spider spray. Like, and I only see a couple now and again that maybe venture that far, but that spider spray is the line, and they know enough not to cross it. And I don't really bug them over on the other because it's just storage area and it's old stuff that we're probably going to throw it anyway. So
That's why I have cats.
I have cats, but the problem with that is that when he started going down there, venturing down there, he would come back up, and the next day he'd be very lethargic and all that, and he gets bites, and you can find bites on him.
Ooh.
So he fights them, but they fight bite because they're barking spiders, and they jump.
What
Oh, because you have the big spiders.
Oh, yeah, they're about that big.
Hell no.
we don't
The
have
one I saw the other day was about probably I don't know, maybe a silver dollar size, and they're furry too.
Oh, I'm not
I
about
usually
that.
am freaky about them, but if they're not aggressive, so I'm cool with them. Like, that's fine, just stay on your side.
I'm not cool with any of them.
I am
But I've seen them like jump 7-8 feet. Like, they
Oh,
just jump.
Do they really bark?
Fuck.
I don't know why they call them barking. They're brown barking spiders, and they are native to the area.
I don't like that at
I
all.
don't like any spiders.
I don't really either.
I get
but
those fucking stink bugs in my house.
Oh,
I
those
do-
have been bad this year.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get any this year. Last year I got a bunch.
I started seeing them more when it started getting colder. Usually I get them in the summer, but
What do they actually smell like? I've never killed one.
I don't know how to describe it, but I do know this. Okay, so do you know how, this is going to sound so weird, how ladybugs smell?
No.
No.
Like, have
Ladybug
you
smell?
ever, we used to have a big, like, problem in North Buffalo where, like, the outside of my school, all the doorways would be covered in ladybugs for, like, a week of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Or, like, my front door. And there was, like, a distinct smell of, like, that ladybugs have.
I don't know.
And it's,
ladybug
like,
smell.
a sour
There's the ladybugs.
old
Is it like a douche
smell.
smell?
An old lady smell?
Like it's it's like a.
Summer's
I
Eve
want to say
smell?
like it's like a this isn't gonna make any sense, but a crunchy smell, like a sour like crunchy smell.
sour crunchy smell. That sounds like an Asian snack.
Sour crunchies.
Don't be racist.
But like it's kind of like it smells kind of like
It's just
ladybug smell.
An
I don't know how to explain.
an obscure snack you can eat. Sour crunchies.
Sour crunchies.
Sour
That
crunchies.
actually does sound not
Yeah,
bad.
it does actually.
But yeah, they have a smell. I don't think it smells like that only if you kill them, though. I think they smell like that like all the time.
Someone else described it as like a pine smell.
Oh, you think so?
Almost. I don't know. I've never smelled it. I'm just going off of my friends.
I've killed stink bugs, but I haven't really smelled them. Then again, I didn't like stick my nose next to where I killed
They're
it.
fucking hard
Here,
to kill, too.
I'm gonna have you.
Read this for me.
I'm gonna read this. Is this a barking spider? Yeah, barking spiders.
Why do they call barking spiders?
They're often known as whistling or barking spiders because of the sound. Well, hold on, let me get my radio voice. Here we go.
Hello.
They're often known as whistling or barking spiders because of the sounds most species can produce by rubbing rows of modified spines on the basal segments of their palps. I had so many jokes going through there.
That's why I had you read it.
I love rubbing the
The front pair of limb-like sensory mating organs.
Oh, God.
At this point, I should get a boing. Against opposing spines on their jaw. I still don't even know what the hell I just read.
We do all our own sound effects, guys. You would never believe it from the quality.
So
We do.
professional.
We're like a cappella, but for radio.
All right. Against opposing spines on their jaw bases, the stridulating organ. The stridulate, is that the word stridulating?
Stridulating.
Stridulating organ. Why are they using
add that to
organs
my
to do
vocab.
this stuff?
Why wouldn't you use organs to do that stuff? What else would you use?
Well, it's not like when I have sex, you're like, well, maybe you do. I don't know. I just don't even know it.
Your larynx. Your larynx.
But that's not
isn't-
my organ, though. It's not going to make that kind of noise.
Your skin's
A lot of girls have tried to Never mind.
Don't go there. It's too much.
Nikki, your story. What do you? Let's.
Nikki.
Yeah, yours are much spookier, I feel like. Okay, so
But you have the better name.
Nikki?
No, Nikki's a great name. But
My
yours-
Playroom Poltergeist?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or the clickbait.
Yep.
MILF and Playroom.
So
Click to find out what happens.
Oh, what happens next? I had
Sorry, my pits are sweating.
that would you every week. Well, it's one of us.
Yes.
We just rotate on who's sweating
I'm
in this
wearing a
room.
very fuzzy
So,
sweater.
so the sweat in women doesn't obviously go down because
To our ball sacks?
because you don't have, so it goes up to the pits.
We get boob sweat though.
Boob sweat. There you go. Like it's in that region. So you got a little titty sweat going on there, Lisa.
No, but I did accidentally spill coffee right on my shirt, on my boob.
On my boob.
The boob.
It wasn't
part of my
hot,
shirt.
was it?
No, I didn't
Oh, okay.
notice it until much later, and I'm like, what the?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to burn the boob.
No, there's like 2 layers of
Boob.
clothing though.
Warm milk.
So we're good. Stop talking about my boobs like that, please.
That's
I was waiting for you to do it. I'm like, you're just letting me keep going. I was
My
surprised
keeps
you let me.
sinking. I'm having technical issues right now. And more.
She's having a hard day. Can't even see that.
She has had a rough day today.
Oh. I moved into a house. I had a baby at that time. And then while I was in that house, I was also pregnant. And I realized that this happened way more when I was pregnant. But we had our house set up so that in the downstairs, you'd walk right in the front door. And you could go straight to the kitchen, or you could go to the left, and it was a living room and then a dining room attached. And since it's a Buffalo house, we had like a swinging wooden door between the kitchen dining room.
That's cool.
Yeah, so in our dining room, we didn't use it that often because, it's a baby. We don't have to sit down and have meals with her. So we put a bunch of shelves and bookshelves and like containers, and we turned it into the playroom. Someone got her for her birthday one of those like toys that you can ride on, and it's an elephant. And if you have kids, I would assume you have this elephant because they all have it. At one point we had two. At one point, like, I had one in one house, one in another house, one in like my parents' house. We had so many of these fucking elephants. So you could sit on it and it would like bounce, and then it would talk to you and make noise. But it was basically to get them to start walking, because you could hold the back of the elephant and like teeter around, or you could scoot on it when you sat on it.
Makes sense.
And it would make a bunch of different noises depending on what you were doing with it, which is okay. I should have phrased that differently.
Because it was a baby, I wasn't going to make the comment. And I was like,
So when I was very pregnant, I would be downstairs a lot at night because you can't sleep ever. And it would be just me downstairs, and the baby would be sleeping, and the baby's father would be upstairs sleeping. And we had the cats, and the cats like to lay on the bed when you're sleeping. So it would be just me, and I'd be like, oh, I'm pregnant and I'm hungry. I'm going to grab a snack. And I'd be like making toast or something downstairs.
that was your snack? Toast?
Well, it'd be like peanut butter toast.
Oh, okay, that's better.
And all of a sudden, you'd hear this ride-on toy start talking.
That sounded really weird too, but go on and ride on toy.
Ride-on toy.
That's
So
the new brand.
what can we call it? So the elephant. The elephant
Okay.
would start talking. It had like fun phrases in there, obviously, and it would just make like the elephant sound, and then it'd be like, "Woo! Like that was fun. Let's do that again."
That's like a horror film right there.
Mm-hmm. So like I'd be down in the kitchen making my toast, and it would be like 2 a.m. Let's play again, and I'd be like, "What the fuck is happening?" And so I would like pop my head in. I'd like move the door real fast and pop my head in. I mean, obviously no one's awake. No one else lives there.
Did the elephant light up or anything, or no?
It does. When you can like push it, it has little lights that light up, and like a center panel that's got like a whirly thing in there.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes like the little rattly noise for like the babies and stuff, and the wheels make noise. But like I'd pop my head in, and it would be like completely dark. The cats would be upstairs, or I would see like a cat like laying on the top of the couch in the living room. So there would be nothing. And this happened all the time. And I would just be like, oh, well, you know, it's probably like the floor is shifting. Like it's an old house in Buffalo. You know, I bet the wooden floor is like shifting or popping and it's making it move because the only time it will talk is when it moves. So I'm like, oh, it's making the toy move, or, you know, maybe like the cat jumped off the bed and that was enough to like vibrate.
Awful sensitive elephant.
You know, yeah, I was like, but it's probably moving because of something, or like, it wouldn't move from a giraffe, but something was making it move. Until one day, I remember the kid's dad was like outside with her playing on the lawn or something, and I was in the kitchen. I had both the cats near me because they were hungry, so they were bitching at me, meowing, and I accidentally like looked up really fast and banged my head on the cabinet, and I swear to God, like the cabinets and the doors shook. I hit my head so hard.
Ow.
And I was like, that's weird. Like the elephant didn't make any sound, and that was definitely
something that would
make it say something, and nothing happened. I would go in the other room.
Did you have one or two at that time?
We had one.
One, okay.
So I would go in the other room and I would like jump up and down around it, or like walk around the room to see if I could like move the floorboards a little bit, and it would never make it talk. But still, like if I was downstairs and eventually even like the kid's dad, if we were like sitting on the couch watching TV and nothing else was going on, we'd be in the middle of watching a show and the elephant would light up and like say something. And I was like, this is the creepiest fucking toy ever. So I had to start turning it off. And I was just like, it's a creepy toy. And I wrote it off until I moved to a different house. Someone ended up giving me the same toy, not the same one, but the exact same thing.
Same model.
And I kept it in like on a hardwood floor in that house, and it never, ever, 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 ever would say anything randomly. Just the one that was at that house that would randomly speak like in the middle of the night.
That's giving me flashbacks to Furby.
Oh yeah, Furby. Feed me. And you're like, oh my God, go away. But yeah, it was just creepy, especially like the phrasing of it would be like, oh, play with me.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Or it would be like, move me again. And I would just be like, what the fuck is happening?
The toy elephant is awkwardly sexual.
Yeah, it really is.
No. I don't know, but you did call it what, a ride me toy?
A ride-on.
Oh, ride-on toy.
Yeah.
Ride me toy. Yeah, same thing.
Right on.
Right on, right on, right on.
So that's our demons in the wall, MILF in the kitchen, or doing Playroom. And
there were a lot of weird things in that playroom that used to happen. And that sounds bad. But I mean like really weird, like supernaturally type things that would happen just in like the playroom, just in that house.
Do you know anything about the previous owners?
No.
See, because that's something I did. When I realized about the barn, I was like, huh. So I tried to look up, how do you look up a barn, though? You know,
a barn owner?
Yeah, like I looked up who owns it and stuff and see if I could figure it out, like, but nothing, there was no news or anything like that. I really wish I would have went back there to see if there was any kind of trapdoor, because that really would have made sense. But a lot of these things that happen, like that one particular room, and that, like, I'm just, like a lot of times you watch these ghost shows and there's something happening somewhere, and then they do research and they find out in that room someone hung themselves or something. Like that just is like the holy grail of ghost hunting and stuff. Like I love that stuff.
The people that owned the house before my parents, we don't know much about them as far as I know. They might know more, but they were super weird just by their decor style. Like my dad was ripping apart a lot of stuff. Like I told you, he put drywall up over the cedar. Why an entire room had cedar walls?
That was a popular thing, though.
But like
closets, but I never saw it.
Real wood, not like wood paneling, though.
I see it a lot in like, I want to say like Cheektowaga houses.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, did you live in Cheektowaga?
No.
Cheektowaga?
This is actually in West Amherst.
West Amherst. There's a West Amherst?
Well, it's the non-East Amherst people. So it's like
regular Amherst.
Regular Amherst.
Because
the East Amherst people don't want to be
walk down the street like this. Yes, the West and East Amherst.
Yeah.
It's like a West Side Story.
Music playing in the background.
But they had They had some really weird decor styles. I remember there was also wallpaper on the ceiling in the living room and wood paneling.
That is weird.
The bathroom was painted this bright fire engine red.
The bathroom?
Yeah, it was just really weird. I think they had some sort of issue.
They were like, we're going to be the next big inventors of decor and homes, and this is going to take off. Like, someone's going to come in and be like, this is so up and coming. And they were like, no, this is just stupid. Why are you doing this?
My idea is like, oh, well, this is on sale. Let's just buy this.
Yeah.
Instead of paying, let's just throw the wallpaper or whatever. Like, that's what I'm thinking. Like, oh, this is on sale, or Uncle Jojo just gave this for free. Let's just put it on the wall or whatever. My sister moved into a house, and it was on one wall there was over 120 nails.
Weird.
Yeah, like
For no reason.
don't know. I'm guessing maybe they were hanging little things up or something. I mean, that would be the only reason behind it. But she had to after she got them all out and everything, she started working with it. The plastic was just falling apart. She had to redo her whole wall. But it's just weird how like
a picture wall.
Yeah, like you move into a house and the previous owner is just like, what are you doing? Like, there's one thing just being inept and not doing anything and letting the thing fall apart. And then there's what you're saying, wallpaper on the ceiling? Really? That's where you're going with that?
Yeah.
No, something actually just occurred to me. I remember my mom telling me that when they looked up the deed to the house, the entire neighborhood was like one of those fancy neighborhoods with names. I don't want to say what the name was called. Mm-hmm. They're actually like moderately priced houses, but they were built really quickly after World War II, I want to say, for soldiers coming home. So I wonder if it was like a soldier with PTSD or who had encountered something really weird in Germany or in Europe.
And he just kind of
creepy.
Had his mind a little...
That just occurred to me.
That's so weird.
The last story I'm going to talk about is one of my friends growing up. He moved around a lot. I don't know why they did. They just did. But they ended up moving into a house in Lockport, and it was kind of a double-wide type of situation. They were kind of in a rush to find a place, so they started living there. And it was during the summer, and my mom and dad would either take me down there or I would get picked up and go and hang out with them. And my dad drove up the driveway one day, and it was around Halloween. And they were all standing outside staring into the front door. Not the husband. He was at work. He worked at Chevy. And then it was his mom and my friend were just staring at the front door. I'm like, what's going on? So I went over there, and they're going, I don't know what's going on in that house, but I don't want to go back in. That's the mom was saying that. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? And Todd's like, you don't want to know what's underneath the couch. And I'm like,
what?
Dead body? What? A rat? What's... So we went in there, and it's really weird. And I looked, and there was huge turds underneath there.
Weird.
And it smelled really bad. And they're like, we were sitting there, and all of a sudden we could smell something. We looked underneath there, and there was all this stuff there. So needless to say, we finally got enough nerve, moved stuff out of the way, swept it out and all that. That was just one of them. I can't remember some of the other stuff that happened, but...
Was it human or animal? Do you know? Don't know.
It was really big.
Okay.
Like... I don't know. I just remember trying to...
So like dog or bigger.
Yeah, we were just like kind of sweeping it up or just using the dustpan to push it out the door, and we figure out later what to do with it. And he would always tell me like, oh yeah, this weird thing happened. I looked up and there was someone in the doorway or whatever. And I'm like, oh, what did it look like? He's like it's short, but they were stocky, but real short. And I'm like, oh, okay. And his mother was really weird about stuff. She had something going on, she was some Elaine Warren or anything, but she had something. Mm-hmm. And she's like, I can't stay in this place. I got really bad vibes about it. They were moving out, and I went over to help them move out. I always help them move out. And the guy who owned the place came up, and we told him about this strange creature. Oh yeah, I can't even remember his name. And that's why I remember when he said an old war veteran. He was in a wheelchair, and he always crapped all over the place. And no one would clean him up.
Before they sold them a trailer or like didn't clean it?
Oh, it was clean. It just, like they said, they were sitting there. His mom was very clean. And it started smelling. And that's why they're standing out there staring.
Appeared out of nowhere?
Yeah, they had
That's weird.
And I saw this. I mean, I didn't see it not there and then there, but there was like... There was
literal holy shit.
Yes, holy shit. They're looking at it, they just turn pale white, and they're going...
That's the weird part.
Because the guy couldn't hold his... They said, oh my God, it took forever to clean it.
Yeah.
She would have never just plopped something down and went. She would have cleaned everything first again and put everything together and all that. So
That's not.
and he goes, oh yeah, and then he ended up killing himself.
Oh my God.
No.
I go, where? And he goes, down there.
On the couch.
The same place that they keep seeing this. They thought it was a short, stocky guy, but it was someone in a wheelchair. But because it was a shorter person, they thought, but it was someone in a wheelchair instead. They're like, they were supposed to stay another day or two, and they went to a motel, just like Poltergeist. They went to the motel. They're like, screw this, we're going to the motel.
Out of all the ghost stories I've heard,
creepy.
I've never once heard one about poop appearing.
And then it was actually scary.
and
Yeah, and
smelly.
The connection, though, when the connection, like I was there,
That's
I'm like,
so creepy.
oh my God. And they were going, oh my God, the poop. And they're like,
Oh my God,
and
the poop.
the guy was not surprised when we said that. So
That
in other
is
words, it's
weird.
happened or something was going on with it, and he's just like, yeah, you dick, you.
For future reference, please disclose the mystical poop that
mystical
randomly
poop.
appears.
So we could have like a complimentary house blessing or
Yeah.
like saging or something.
Well, that's actually a law
Smudging.
now. There's a law in a lot of states saying if the house is haunted, you have to tell people.
How do you determine that it is
good.
haunted, though? I feel like that's a slippery slope.
That I'm not sure. I have no idea, but because watching like who's the guy?
Adventures.
Yeah, Ghost Adventures.
Yeah.
They were talking about that. If you know something weird is going on in your house, you have to.
Weird. I wonder
tell
how you
people.
determine that. I'm gonna look that up this week.
Yeah,
What?
that'd
I
be
used to like.
interesting.
I used to like fucking Paranormal State.
Yeah, until I found out what they were all about.
He's a douche now.
Wait, what happened?
Well, he, what's his name? Ryan.
Yeah.
He started up this thing for Paranormal State from Penn State, and he was. I love the shows.
Mm-hmm.
What one was it? 9? The show 9, the demon.
Yeah.
Oh my God! That even thinking about
They
it
had
gives me
some
creeps.
great editing and everything in there
Yeah,
too.
it was
they,
awesome.
They did a good job with that show. It's great.
But-
that is the only. That was like one of the only like ghost hunting shows that I would literally watch and then be like, okay, I don't really know if I want to sit in my house now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did a really good job with stuff, and the thing I liked is they didn't go in a day and leave. They stayed for like 3, 4, 5 days. They did a full investigation, and just like we were talking before, like they went and found out what is the history of that house. Was there something that happened? You know, they did all that kind of stuff and tied it all into the episode. So it's a really, really good show. Trying to go like starting these conventions and getting all this money for the convention, and then ghosting.
No pun intended. Ghosting.
Yeah.
Zinger.
And so he's in jail, and so Paul
Oh.
or Chip Coffee
Chip
said,
Coffee. Oh my God.
I don't think
forgot
he's
about
in the
Chip.
last season.
Then it was Michelle something,
God, I
right?
hated her. God, I couldn't
She
stand
was
her.
very like.
Butch.
She seemed like she very much didn't believe
That's why you hated her.
anything that she was saying at the same time that she was saying it, and she'd be like, "Oh yes, I totally believe this here," and I'd be like, "But why are you?"
Prove it to me, lady.
Right. But also, like, how are you like, you seem like so skeptical of like yourself, and you're the one doing this like reading of the room.
Yeah, she's supposed to be
So
the one
weird.
removing the skepticism.
Yeah.
Where Chip would come in and he'd say some stuff. Not all of it was true, so that's why I always bought into him. Like he'd be like, maybe this, and this, and like 2 or 3 things were
He
like,
was
oh,
a sassy mofo.
Yeah,
I
he-
liked him.
yeah, he was great, and he's fairly legit too. Like anything you watch with him, he's straight and narrow. But that Michelle was her name.
Yeah.
She
and
was
Chip-
terrible.
Chip had that show where he had the kid mediums on it.
Really?
Yeah, he had a show where he invited kids who had some sort of like psychic ability down, and he would like teach them how to control it so it didn't bother them so much anymore,
Interesting.
and how to harness it. And then he had like shows, and I think on each show he'd have like 3 kids he would work with, and then that was good for them because they met other kids that had abilities like them, so they weren't so much like outcasts anymore. And each episode was like a couple of kids, and he would like show them what to do, especially like based on what type of ability they had.
Mhm.
That was really cool. I think he had someone else on there too, but I don't remember.
I'll have to look that
But
up.
that seemed like he was very like, I mean, you never know. You never know that some producer's like, okay, well, this is what happened with the kid and tells him beforehand. So you never know that it's real. But he seemed like a straight shooter on that show too.
Yep. He's always seemed legit to me.
Did you ever watch that show I told you about, Ghost Brothers?
I have not, no.
Who you gonna call?
I've seen
Ghost
the advertisements for him.
Brothers.
It's really good. You guys need to check it out.
I need some spoopy shows now that it's almost Halloween.
It's on
So-
Destination America.
Comment your spoopy shows for me to watch.
Yeah.
The Destination
haunted.
Truth was awesome. I love that show. Anyways, I won't get into that because I'll talk 2 hours about it. My man crush is Josh Gates.
We know.
I know.
He just had a second kid, I found out.
Yeah. Really quick, I watched episode of his new one, not Destination Truth, Expedition Unknown, about this.
It sounds like the same thing, but
It
It
is.
is, essentially is.
Different
He found the
network.
ruby slippers from Wizard of Oz because it got stolen. There's 4 pair and one of them got stolen.
Yeah,
And
I heard about this.
He went looking for
I
them.
gotta
and
watch these. You gotta comment these
don't
on
watch
Facebook.
that one. Don't watch that one.
I want to watch all of them.
It was like an hour long, 45 minutes of them trailing all over the place trying to find it. And at the end, this FBI guy goes, "Oh yeah, this guy sent us pictures of the ruby slippers. He wants money for them." I'm like, why did I just watch you do all this stuff for 45 minutes? Some of it was interesting,
that sounds like
but
my life.
I'm just like, really?
Yeah.
And there was like this dramatic ending. I'm like,
But they found him.
I know, but there should have been like the Price is Right horn. Like I spent all that time. They went into freezing cold water to search a lake.
Oh, God.
And they found a can of rocks. I don't know why that was
Can
down
of
there, but a can of
rocks.
rocks.
Why would they
And
think the ruby
they were-
slippers were in a lake? Yeah,
Because that was the rumor that the guy stole him. He got freaked out, threw him in a can, and whipped him in the lake.
That's
But
fucked.
I was really disappointed. I'm like, that really, you could have just
That's
had
funny.
half an hour of saying, hey, we got pictures, let's go get it. We got to start winding this up. We only got a couple minutes. We're going to get kicked out of the building.
Woo.
So we do have a update on one of our stories in the past. New Jersey pooperintendent pleads guilty to public defecation. I'll just quickly read a few things here. A former high school superintendent. Hold on, let me get my radio voice. A former high school superintendent in New Jersey has pleaded guilty to public defecation on a local high school's track and football field. Thomas pleaded guilty to the charge on Wednesday as part of the plea deal with prosecutors to dismiss charges of public lewdness and littering. I love that it's littering. According to the New York Post, he will also have to pay a $500. That's it?
Aw.
Hell, I'm gonna go take a crap in the lawn. It's only $500.
Please
That's what
don't.
Most people do, though.
Yeah. The 42-year-old was superintendent of the Kenilworth School District until his arrest in May for lewdness, littering, defecating in public. The district accepted his Okay, that's the one thing I wanted to find out. His district accepted his resignation in July because, remember?
He's just gonna keep that job.
Yeah, they put him on paid leave.
Yeah.
Which was like, what was it, $4,000 a month or some crap. Like, it was a ridiculous amount of money. I'm glad...
I understand if you really have to go, but like, why would you just voluntarily shat on a track field?
They said the athletic coaches and other staffers would randomly find human feces at or near the track and football field. So the staffers monitored the field, and I know we went through this, and I listened to it actually two months ago, and I laughed my ass off. Staffers monitored the field until they identified 42 as the number 1, number 2 suspect.
That's hilarious.
Oh.
That's rich.
Oh, wait, I didn't have
You
my
have a
sound
sound
effects.
effect for that.
Hold on,
Did it
high-end
all
podcasting here.
In-house.
Let me just pull up my app.
Oh, here we go. And
That
what is that noise?
That's
not me.
That's your phone.
That's you.
It's not my phone.
Do you have a pop-up up there? That's a speaker.
Oh, it is
Oh,
a speaker.
I forgot. My phone goes through my email because I have a Google phone.
Oh.
Oh, that's
So-
great. Your phone noise is twice as loud.
Oh, man, I screwed it up. Oh, here we go. Maybe I'll edit this in. Staffers monitored the field until they identified, I cannot say this guy's name, Tragabalini, 42, as the number 1, number 2 suspect.
It's the end of the night. All of
Boy,
your
that's-
words are just merging
Yeah.
together into one giant word.
All right, so we are kind of running out of time, so I guess we'll end on the creepy clowns one, because the ball touching one, I'm just not...
We should save that for a special time.
Right, we will... That can be something that you can look forward to in the next episode. So when you see the next episode, you're like, that's the episode where the nutsacks smack together.
Like podcast bait.
Yes.
Stay tuned
Ooh.
for our...
Find out what happens.
Don't
Sounds
Google it.
nuts.
Don't Google it. Don't spoil it for yourself. Just listen to our next podcast.
The doctors hate this podcast because
Oh my god.
someone did 2 things and they got rock hard abs.
Definitely don't do this.
So creepy clowns are threatening to return to Sydney's streets and spread panic during Halloween.
Sydney, Australia.
I'm guessing that, yeah.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was Sydney, Florida.
I need to set the stage for this.
Menacing posts on social media earlier this month urged the mass mischief makers, urged the mass mischief makers to mobilize next Wednesday, the traditional October 31st celebration. The Facebook page of Clown Purge Sun. Let me say it over again.
Would you like me to read it? Okay.
The Facebook
Sounds
page
like
of
you're
Clown Purge
rewinding.
Sydney shared a status referring to activity on Halloween. It read, "Who's gonna trick or treat?" Boy, that guy he looks sad.
It's very creepy.
He doesn't look, he's more sad than creepy. More disturbingly, later posts requested house addresses, prompting some commenters to official, wow, I'm doing awesome.
My God.
Prompting some commenters to offer details of homes. Because I'm losing my radio voice.
But you're using your radio voice, so it doesn't matter. As long as you have the radio voice, it doesn't matter what
But
you
this
say.
drew sharp condemnation.
Condom.
Condoms?
Condom.
There's a condemnation.
No one actually knows what this
You know what?
article
There
is
is.
about.
It's called
I don't.
Trojan. Or no, that was Troy. Damn it!
God damn
That sounded better in my head.
That's what she said.
With many replies explicitly, okay, whatever. Clowns still doing this shit. Fucking grow up, you fuckheads. I sounded like a AI.
Yes, you did.
This article
Still
is going
doing
so
this
far
shit.
off
Fuck,
the
grow up,
rails.
ya fuckheads. One person commented.
I don't know what's happening.
Another declared, "I don't know why you clowns are doing this.
You clowns.
Ya clowns. Ya knuckleheads. What are you trying to do? Scare us?" Did he really say that? What are you trying to do? Scare us? Dude. Well, it's stupid. Get a job. They probably do. They have to pay for the
I
masks.
love
and
how
stuff.
every time someone's mad at someone else, get a job.
Well, I mean, these things can't be cheap, you know? So they got to have a job to pay for them.
And a really good makeup artist. Some of these clowns have really nice makeup.
The clown craze began in 2016 after reports of clowns trying to lure children into the woods. Okay, now that's really bad. In the U.S. state of South Carolina. I didn't realize it was like really based in one. I thought it was all over the nation. But I guess it's just in South Carolina. It led to clown groups erupting across America. In one incident, a man brandished a knife while wearing a clown mask and chased a boy through the New York subway. That's not weird.
I love that there are clown groups, just by the way. Clown groups.
Well, and clown same posse or insane paying clown. What are they called?
Insane
Oh
clown.
my fucking god.
I'm really
It's time
tired.
to go, you guys.
Okay.
We gotta go.
We got 4 minutes before we get kicked
No
out.
one still knows what this article is about.
Many commenters speculated the craze was marketed and stunt for supernatural movies such as 2016 Halloween film 31 and It, which would make sense. The film adaptation of the Stephen King novel released the next year. Creepy clown sightings spread around the world. In Israel, during the height of the craze, mass thugs threw acid on children in a bid to spread public panic.
Fucking Christ.
All right,
Jeez.
they need to pump the brakes. That's, get your shit together. Acid, really? The phenomena, can this really be a phenomena? Phenomena. Now I'm going to hear that in my head the rest of the day. It soon hit Australia with scary clowns driven by social media being reported in Not Safe for Work, Victoria, and Queensland. Wait, that's not No Safe for Work. What is SN?
North, south,
West?
west. No.
Fuck you guys. Oh my god.
Reported in
hold on, I'm
NSW. I thought it was
blinking.
Not Safe for Work,
No.
Victoria, and Queensland.
Oh my god.
It sparked police warnings about antisocial behavior from copycat mischief makers.
New South Wales, Australia. That's what I was going to
okay.
say.
Oh.
Well, they
It's a
need
territory.
for
South
people
by
like me who
Southwest
don't,
Australia.
Who haven't taken a basic geography class.
or an English class for that matter. A spokesperson for Not Safe for Work Police told 9.com.au it was not aware of the current threatened clown reemergence for what?
In other news out of Australia, have you seen that beefed up kangaroo?
Oh, yes.
Holy
not.
shit.
It makes me scared.
Oh, man. That guy's like a pro wrestler.
So people, just stay away from the clowns.
And the kangaroos.
And the kangaroo and the ruse. So yeah, that's our Halloween episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I apologize for my wonderful English language usage.
Or
But
lack thereof.
we nominated Lisa for the ending because she kept asking what it was. So what's the ending there, Lisa?
If you can't swallow, you might as well midnight holler.
See, I couldn't have done it like that. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
So, Nikki, do you have anything to add before we close shop?
No.
Lisa, do you have anything to add other than holla?
Phenomena. Do, 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 do. Phenomena. Do, 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 do.
Aw, Jim, no.
Oh, no.
Hazelnutted.
At least we hazelnutted once.
Yes. So everyone have a safe and happy Halloween and just
Halloweeny.
Check your candy before you eat it.
right and just watch out for the clowns.